So I'll be giving y'all 6 mistakes that kills your bass performance in cardio and how you guys can avoid these simple mistakes to get a better performance from out of your subwoofers. So make sure you guys sit back, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you guys are new, and let's drop right into the video. Blah. So the first mistake that kills your bass performance in cardio is how you guys position your box. Believe it or not, the box position or box location inside your vehicle can affect on how your bass is gonna sound. So for example, I have a hatchback vehicle here, and the best way for me to position my box inside my vehicle is port facing towards the hatch. In that way, it will optimize my bass output. But since I do not have the space to put my port facing towards the hatch, next best way for me to position my box inside my vehicle is subs up, ports up. So in that way, all the pressure will be keeping inside the vehicle. You will be feeling all the pressure when the bass is playing inside the vehicle. Versus, let's say that I had my subwoofer port facing forward inside the vehicle now, with all this dead space open in the trunk and all that. What will tend to happen is that the bass won't be sounding as loud as the rest position. That's because it will be losing pressure when the port is facing forward with all this dead space open in the trunk. So if you guys have your port facing forward or want to face your subwoofer port forward, I would recommend for y'all to seal up all of the dead space that's open inside your trunk, or to seal off the trunk, so that you guys can get a better performance with that position. Now the saying goes for a sedan vehicle, the best way to position your box inside a sedan vehicle is port facing towards the hatch or port facing forward inside your vehicle. But if you guys have dead space open inside your trunk, I would recommend for y'all to seal off everything for the best performance while facing your port forward. Now the second mistake that kills your bass performance in cardio is sending too much power to your subwoofers, which will cause clipping. We all want to be loud, but sometimes being loud is not always the best. When you guys send too much power going to your subwoofers will just sound dirty. It will sound not the best, and the performance in the subwoofer won't even last for long. Your subwoofer will just destroy on you. So to avoid too much power going to your subwoofers, just make sure that your gain on your amplifier is set correctly to what your subwoofers can handle. And a proper way to set your gain on your amplifier is by using equipments or tools such as a SMD meter, a multimeter, oscilloscope, like those meters out there. But if you guys do not want to spend on those equipments, we can also use a special tool that we are all born with, and that is our ears. Now the number 3 mistake that kills your bass performance is the incorrect box specs for your subwoofer. I want you guys to pay attention to this, especially because this is one of the most important mistake most people be making. So with having correct box specs for your subwoofer, what will tend to happen is that your subwoofer won't be getting the performance it's calling for. And what be happening in the cardio community is that most people will tend to get a preferred box for the subwoofer, but a preferred box is not the best box. What a preferred box is a box that's not meant for your subwoofer. So the spec is not what your subwoofer is calling for. So the box is way too small for that subwoofer. What I would recommend for y'all to do is to get a custom enclosure. A custom enclosure is a game changer, and you guys can achieve on how you guys want your bass to sound. So if you guys are looking for like a nice, rich, deep, low-end bass, getting a custom enclosure will get that job done easily. Now with a preferred box, you guys won't get the performance at all from out of your subwoofers. Your bass will just sound, it's not gonna sound the best, especially when it comes to the low notes frequencies. That preferred box won't be able to produce that low-end deep bass that you guys want. So it's always best to get a custom enclosure. Number 4 mistake now is your subwoofer wiring. Yes, your subwoofer wiring. Many people tend to wire their subwoofers incorrectly, and what tend to happen is that sometimes their bass cuts out on them, sometimes the phase in the subwoofer is off, sometimes their subwoofer sounds off. When it comes to cardio, there's 2 ways you guys can wire your subwoofers. There's series wiring, and then there's parallel wiring. With wiring your subwoofer in series, what will tend to happen is that you will be raising the ohm load on your subwoofer. So let's say that you have a dual 2 ohm subwoofer and you wire your subwoofer in series, and what will happen is that you will be raising the ohm load on the subwoofer. So the final impedance on the subwoofer will be at 4 ohms, which will pull less power coming from your amplifier. Now when it comes to parallel wiring, now what parallel tend to does, it will be dropping the ohm load on your subwoofer. So let's say that you have the same dual 2 ohm subwoofer now and you wire your subwoofer in parallel, the final impedance on the subwoofer will be at 1 ohm. So parallel wiring will be decreasing the impedance on your subwoofer, which will pull more power coming from your amplifier. I won't be getting too deep on how to wire your subwoofers, but I have a video on my YouTube channel which show y'all on how you guys can correctly wire your subwoofers, whether you have 1 subwoofer, 2 subwoofers. That video will show you guys on how you guys can correctly wire your subwoofers in either series wiring or parallel wiring. So number 5 mistake now is by using bass boost. Yes, bass boost increases your bass, but bass boost also destroys your subwoofer depending on how you guys set the bass boost on your amplifier. So what the bass boost actually does for your subwoofers is that it will boost a specific frequency to where you set the bass boost at. So let's say that you set the bass boost frequency at 40 Hertz. What will tend to happen is that the 40 Hertz frequency will be sounding louder than the other frequencies. So if you guys already have your gain set on your amplifier and you guys are realizing that you are not getting the bass that you want, then you guys decided to just crank up the bass boost, that is not the way to use bass boost. It will just destroy and blow your subwoofers in no time. So generally a proper way to set your bass boost level on your amplifier is that you guys would want to set your bass boost first before setting the gain. So after you set your bass boost to the frequency that you want to be boost and setting the level of the bass boost, then you guys would want to set the gain on your amplifier. So in that way, after setting the gain correctly, there shouldn't be any clipping or any distortion playing in your subwoofers. For number 6 mistake now, we have setting your low pass filter and your subsonic filter incorrectly on your amplifier. Setting your low pass filter and your subsonic filter especially can actually kill the hell out of your bass. So when it comes to setting your low pass filter and your subsonic, especially for your subwoofers, they can definitely affect the performance on your subwoofers. So a great starting point to set your low pass filter on your subwoofer is at 80 Hertz. So in that way, the frequencies below 80 Hertz will be playing in the subwoofers, but the frequencies above 80 Hertz now won't be playing in the subwoofers. So as you guys are seeing here, I have my low pass filter being set at 80 Hertz, and I also have an 80 Hertz test tone right here. And as you guys can clearly hear that the subwoofers are playing. So the subwoofers are playing on 80 Hertz, but what will happen if we set our low pass filter at 45 Hertz now? Here we go guys, as we turning down the low pass filter, the 80 Hertz started to sound a bit more softer. And that's one big mistake that most people be making. So with setting your low pass filter correctly for your subwoofers, you can have an increase of dB, but if you have your low pass filter being set incorrectly, just know that you will be missing out a lot of bass output for your subwoofers. And now when it comes to your subsonic filter for your subwoofer now, a general rule to set your subsonic filter on your amplifier is at half octave below your box tuning. But to dumb it down, to make it more simple, let's say that my box tuning is at 32 Hertz. My box is tuned at 32 Hertz. 32 Hertz. I can just times my box tuning by 0.75, and the value we get, which is 24, this would be 24 Hertz. This is where we will need to set our subsonic filter at on our amplifier. And what the subsonic filter does for your subwoofers is that it will protect your speakers from bottoming out from the frequencies your subwoofers shouldn't be playing. So when I set my subsonic filter at 24 Hertz, the frequencies below 24 Hertz won't be playing in the subwoofers, but the frequencies above 24 Hertz will be playing in the subwoofers. And that's a basic way you guys can find out where to set your subsonic filter and your low pass filter on your amplifier for your subwoofers. Now for those who do not know the box tuning on the enclosure, there's a video on my YouTube page you guys can check out so that you guys can find out what's your box tuning. And there you guys have 6 simple mistakes that can easily kill your bass performance and how you guys can avoid those simple mistakes. If you guys find this video very helpful, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe if you guys are new. I'll be catching you guys in my next video. Love y'all guys. Peace.